And we are live. Welcome.
Yeah, just like that.
UFC 286. What, do you want to make small talk or what?
Yeah, I like it. I like a little.
You want to tell me about your day?
I don't just like to ram it home.
We get right down to business.
Ease it in there.
At least make you dinner first.
Yeah. What would you make if you were gonna make me dinner to like impress me? What would you make me?
Sides, probably.
Sides. I love a man that goes sides first. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Because if I know, if you're anything like me, and I know that you went down your barbecue rabbit hole for a bit too. Like,
I'm still on it.
Yeah. Oftentimes it would just be like, I don't know, I'm just in charge of the meat. Like somebody else makes sides.
Oh, I bet you are, big dog. I bet you are. You look like a man that could really take charge of a big piece of meat, you know?
Definitely. Those who wield it.
Yeah, so what did you... So, wait, I was waiting for sides, so it's...
Oh, I would make you my famous Brussels sprouts and bacon in Alfredo sauce.
Oh, Alfredo. What?
I make my own Alfredo sauce, dog.
Yeah, same.
Same. Yeah, it's good stuff. Once I realized how easy it was, and also just got the concept that Alfredo sauce is just basically Parmesan sauce.
Yes, and like, butter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. What is this? I like a little I like a good char on the Brussels with a little Pecorino Romano sheep's cheese, a little balsamic. Oh,
hell yeah.
Some beef ribs, short ribs. Like,
Too late for you to be making me hungry, man.
Yeah, dude, for real. All right. Well, we have to talk about good food because it was in England, and England has shitty food.
That's right.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, this was a nice early card. Sun was still up when it wrapped up and everything.
Yeah, wasn't that weird?
I mean, it is a little bit weird.
I don't like those.
You don't?
Because it ruins my... It's like when you have something to do at like 11, because you can't do anything really in the morning. And then it's kind of runs into your night. So like, I prefer like if it's at night, then like, okay, then all day long, do whatever I gotta do. And then at night, leave me the fuck alone, But during the day, it's like, everybody's like, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here, let's go there. I have like shopping to get done and shit I have to do. And it's like, well, no, I have to watch Muhammad Mokaev. So, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, actually. I got to remember to kind of like step outside of myself because I'm single, no family, probably
like you and your cat.
Yeah, if I die, like, it'll probably take days for people to notice. Like,
do you think your cat would eat you? If you died, do you think he would eat you?
He has one of those feeders where I can like load it up like a gravity feeder thing. So he'll depending on like how much is in it, if I were to suddenly die in my studio apartment, he'd be good for like 4 to 5 days, maybe even.
But how psycho would it be if the feeder's just on full, dude, and he's just still like at the eye? He's just in the eye, all up in that eyeball, dude.
As soon as I go cold at this apartment complex that I used to work at here I was going to say here in the town that I live in. I'm not going to disclose the
dox yourself all crazy.
Well, a gentleman did die, passed away. He OD'd inside of his apartment, and he was alone with a cat. And the cat did start to chew on his face a little bit. I wasn't the guy. I wasn't the one who found him. I wasn't doing maintenance at that time, but our maintenance guy found him. And he was one of those deals where he knew as soon as he opened the door, you get hit with the smell.
The stench,
yeah. So that's a thing. I mean, it's probably not the same forever. But I've also heard stories to the contrary, that's not necessarily every cat's MO. It kind of depends on the cat.
Depends on what it is. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's just like people,
Tell you, no cats are chewing Muhammad Mokaev's face, though, man.
No, well, they go for the knee, and they're not going to get anything there.
UFC 286. Boy, were we wrong.
I was dead wrong. I put it on Twitter, okay. So can I put a little caveat? Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Man, I just straight to cutting you off.
I had nothing planned. I was just like, yeah, man, we were so wrong, and I wanted you to take the ball.
I think Fiziev won the first 2 rounds.
Yes. Okay, we're in agreement there.
The visible damage rule, fine.
Mm-hmm.
What was fucked up was, and I'm hoping I wanted to ask you here. I didn't want to ask you in the chat because I feel like we make such good points in our chat and then just don't even come back to it.
True.
But like, did you notice he had like a mouse under his eye?
Fiziev?
Under I think it was his left eye before I was like, whoa, he has some shit on his eye. Like he had like a little round gash under his eye on his right eye, and then something above his left eye coming in. Like I remember he took off his sweater and then he like kind of put his head up, took off the hat, and I go, whoa, his eye, like he looked like he just got punched.
Oh.
And then that shit just opened up.
I did not catch that.
But he won the first 2 rounds. You can't tell me he didn't win.
Yeah.
And that there's no chance that the 3rd round was a 10-8 because Gaethje was, who can get hit that hard stumbling and get a 10-8 off a jab, off jab work? No, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because he definitely he rocked Gaethje. I mean, I think he definitely rocked him once, and then one of the other one that I thought he rocked him after I saw the Weasel replay, it kind of looked like it didn't quite land, and Gaethje just didn't sell it right or something. But I'm in agreement with you. I was watching that fight with my brother-in-law and my nephew, and they were both going for Gaethje, and I was the guy going for Fiziev, and I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there at the end, and they're like, "Yeah, Gaethje took
all
that."
Smug, all with the pipe, all in the corner.
But I was
after the first 2 rounds, just
and I
see if he can pull it out.
And I was like, am I going to be that guy right now that's going to tell them, you know, despite how shellacked he was, that I thought Fiziev still won. But I mean,
I'm happy for Gaethje though. I'm happy that he won. I mean, wasn't a robbery.
No, not at all. It's just
that's a Fiziev like, hey dog, how about don't let these slapdick refs fuck up your life? How about that, dude? Just fucking go after him. But yeah.
And there's something to the idea that, because like you mentioned, like that 3rd round wasn't quite a 10-8, but it is kind of interesting to look at it because I mean, we gave the other rounds for Fiziev a 10-9, and then to give that round for Gaethje a 10-9 also, when it was so much more dominant than any of the other rounds, because that was the most definitive round for Gaethje.
Right.
So it is kind of weird where it's like not even all 10-9s are created equal. Like there, you know, there's a spectrum in there of
and
just
there was
a
draw, right? One of the refs gave him a draw.
I don't think so.
It was 27. One ref gave him 27-27.
Huh. I thought that was I thought that was a draw in the main event.
Was that?
Yeah,
was that
I believe one of the refs had it 47-47 or something like that.
Okay. This weird, dude. Just weird, dude. But
interesting fight. The first round looked like what we kind of were predicting. Like Fiziev kind of came out like a bat out of hell.
I was like, Brandon, you genius. Look at you. I was all, God, you've done it again, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, man, Fiziev was putting in a lot of body work. The kicks to the body were looking really, really fierce. And then in round 2, it started to even up a bit more. Gaethje started to find his distance and his rhythm. Fiziev started to slow down a bit. And then there was the telltale at the end of the 2nd round. Gaethje gets a last-minute takedown. Was it at the end of the 2nd round?
It was the end of the 3rd.
End of the 3rd, okay. Well, and he had definitively won the 3rd. But my brother-in-law was like, oh, that's it right there. He sealed the deal. And I was like, no, it's not 2008. A takedown in the last 10 seconds with no offense means nothing. But, I mean, he still won that round anyways. But
crazy. I wanted to make a point also that, so apparently, and I don't know how true this is, so maybe you can maybe shut me down or whatever it may be, but the Tiger Muay Thai crew, right, which is Fiziev, we've got Arman Sarukian, we've got Volk, we've got some of the ones that we know, because there's tons of them. Kaikar France is over there, Brad Riddell, Shevchenko's over there. I think I said Volk, Peter Yan.
Yeah. And you're really naming them off.
Yeah, so some of those people like Volk and Sarukian and Shevchenko, Riddell, obviously, they go to Tiger Muay Thai and do their thing, and then they go to a camp where Fiziev and Yan, they don't have like a head camp. They don't have a head trainer, Trevor Whitman, Mike Brown type guy. And you kind of see in the scheme of how they fight that they don't. They're just kind of going out and they're their own coach. And then their head coach is the manager. Is like their manager, who's a very good manager. You see him in all the pictures he's like Shavkat's manager. He's like a lot of the Slavs. He's like always right there, just real Slaved out with them with the bowl cut. But if you notice, like with Peter Yan and Fiziev, he's in the full gear with the gloves, and then he's in the corner. I think his name's like Sayad or some shit like that.
I'm not familiar with him, but
right. So yeah. So I feel like that's to the detriment. And then I noticed that one of the only wins Jan has had is when he couldn't get to that guy. Remember, they all had visa problems, and with the Sandhagen fight, so he went and worked out an American Top Team, and then he fucking beats Cory Sandhagen like pretty good, and then he goes back to his normal training, and then he gets the break speed off him. He's with I don't know who would have fixed what he did with. Would have fixed what happened against him in his last fight with our Georgian boy. But I just noticed that Fiziev and these guys are kind of loosey-goosey. They kind of come out in the first and they're like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? They're bouncing around. What am I going to do? And if shit doesn't go perfect in the first, then it's like, okay, guys, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And then they kind of go off of instincts from there. And in Fiziev's case, that is to just unload the clip and not really ever kind of hold back and kind of retain
and
his
no one's really... You can tell the way they fight, him and Jan, in a lot of cases. No one's really checking them like, what are you doing, dude? This isn't what we talked about. They're just doing the same thing over. Like, I'm Peter Yan. Yeah. This is what I do. I'm Rafel Fiziev. This is what I do. So it's a little hard to watch sometimes because it's like, I just feel like it would be better served by having a pure head coach. Like, a
real strategist.
Like a real strategist. It doesn't even have to be, a Faraz and then that's really what undid Peter against, and not so much in the first fight, but like Ray Longo, those guys, the Longo crew, they just fucking annihilated Peter Yan.
Oh yeah, you need a counterpart to those guys specifically because they will build a game plan specifically for every opponent.
Because it's one thing to be in the ring and outdo a guy, and I think Fiziev is just so good that he's just like, what the fuck? What do I need that shit for? I'm just gonna go beat the fuck out of this guy anyway. Don't matter. Yeah. But you need someone to be there, like, dude, this isn't. Remember, you're doing exactly what we said not to do, and you're kind of falling back in that bad habit. Or, hey, look, remember what I told you? He's doing it now. Do this, like we said. I feel like it's got to be hard to maintain your emotional intelligence enough to remember all this shit you thought about. You got to have someone there who's like an encyclopedia, at the very least, just to like bounce shit off of.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of observations that a good corner can give you between rounds to let you know, like, hey, that thing you were having trouble with was because of A, B, and C. Yes. Let's clean it up. And I think to further to his detriment, like to have Trevor Whitman on the other side, who very clearly told Gaethje between round 2 and 3, hey, let's use that jab because you have one. Not everything needs to be this wild, like, needs to be thrown with 100%. And that really turned it around for him too, because he started to hit Fiziev with that jab, and Fiziev was just kind of like, oh, you're not going to throw that again. Oh, you did. You're not going to throw it a third time. Oh, and you did. And he just kept on drilling him with it. And then he starts to throw the uppercut in behind it. And that was really what started to put fucking Fiziev on skates, man. So yeah, super dominant third round. And to your point, like, I would hope that they can get some real leadership over at Tiger Muay Thai, because it definitely does seem to be a kind of like iron sharpens iron type of gym.
Yeah, it's more of just a like, dude, this is just fucking.
We're great because of the
Hydra,
people that,
dude. This is just straight Hydra, bro. Like, we're just fucking saved. Like, you don't worry about it. Yeah. They're like, who gives a fuck? They're like, because I don't even think, and as this is probably the farthest thing from the truth, but it's such a like, look at what Volk does. Mm-hmm. He has 2 camps. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. He likes to get down over there. I think he has his own gym in Phuket now, but he likes to get down over there, and then he still gets like second and third opinions.
Yeah, he's got the mind of Eugene Behrman to guide him.
And
I
think Behrman's not even really his head coach, right? There's like there's another crew of dudes that help him out also. So it's like he's got, John Jones did the same thing. George St. Pierre had like world-class head coaches. He's just like constantly running shit off of people. So I just don't get why you wouldn't want to do it. And I could be wrong. I mean, the way but I've just noticed that, and I just remembered like, who's his head coach? I was like, who are these guys' head coaches? Yeah. So I just remember looking at it. I'm like, that guy's a manager. And so he's not even a head coach.
Do you watch the MMA on Points content on
YouTube?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're very good, dude. So good.
They had an interesting video the other day about like how MMA is close, but it's still not real life, than things that people kind of underestimate about fighting in real life, and not necessarily like street fighting versus MMA, but they kind of brought up some of the points that you would expect, like, hey, things like a mouthpiece make a big difference. And one of the main ones that they pointed out too was coaches, having just someone in your corner, to having someone who's on your team and not just a group of randos around, is really, really valuable. And that's something that's just like, there's no parallel to that out in the real world. And to go into an MMA fight where someone does have that. Yeah.
I mean, Mike Perry had his girlfriend. So, I mean.
I don't remember. Did he win that fight? I think he did.
He won a couple fights with his girlfriend.
She's 100% as a coach. That's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, and you notice Conor just went off on all the coaches, did not talk shit about Mike Perry's girlfriend. So he said Faraz was like a twink, or he said Mike Brown smells, but he did not make fun of Mike Perry's girlfriend. So, I mean, I think that says a lot. Yeah. I would have thrown Ray Longo's tits in there. If I was Conor, I would have been like, that sloppy tits, Ray Longo. I would have thrown something like that in there.
So two of my 3, like what I considered to be my like lightweight triple threat of new emerging fighters have come up short when they finally kind of had an opportunity to break through and get into that top 5. So first, Mateusz Gamrot got the L against Beneil Dariush. Yes. And granted, Beneil wasn't necessarily someone who I was counting, because when I say like the new school versus the old school, I mean, Beneil's been in the UFC for a long time, so
Beneil is just he's such an outlier.
Yeah, because he kind of represents like what I kind of more meant is like the guys who are like kind of squatting at the top of the division, and I don't mean squatting in the same way. And
Chandlers,
and that feels fucked up to say, because when I say squatting in their context, I don't mean it in the same way that I'm going to say squatting when we're talking about welterweight in a little bit. You know, because those, I mean, the guys at lightweight earned their way there. You know. And then now Fiziev coming up short against Gaethje, and all the credit in the world to Gaethje. And it's now I'm just sitting here like, Arman, you're our only hope. Like,
don't worry about it, dude. He's got you, dude. He's got you. Who's his? They just booked him in a banger, right?
Renato Moicano. I don't think it's final.
That's not a banger. That's a like, here, fuck this guy up for everybody.
Stay
like
busy.
Your boy Fiziev did.
Yeah, that's a stay busy fight there. Gaethje calling for the Dustin Poirier rematch. Dustin Poirier's already responded and said that that fight makes me nervous, and that's why I think it's good, and that's gonna be the fight that happens.
International fight night, dude. Fight night, dude. It's gonna be Volk. It's gonna be Volk, Yair, John, Stipe, and then the appetizer's gonna be Gaethje and the Diamond, dude.
That's a stacked card.
I think that's gonna. I think that's what it's gonna be.
That is one where I hope that they kind of pull some strings a little bit and make it 5 rounds, because that's a fight that just deserves to be 5 rounds.
Yeah,
between the two of those guys.
I bet the Shevchenko and Grasso rematches on there too, and I bet they'll kick that up gross. So that'll probably be the lead in. They'll have 3 belts. They're gonna have the 3 belts, dude.
Maybe
that night. Yeah.
I know Grasso's really wanting to try and get that fight in September, which would also be really cool for Mexican Independence Day. But yeah, man, International Fight Week is going to be wild. And I mean, of course, and we'll get to it in a bit, but Colby Covington really wants to get in there with Leon on International Fight Week also. So, man, there's going to be a lot of competition to get on that card. Let's see, what else do we have to say about Fiziev and Gaethje? We talked about the matches coming up.
Fiziev, Jalen Turner. I need to see that, please.
It's a good one.
Just let those guys bang, bro. Just let the boys bang. That was my first thought. Like that next morning, I like woke up like, oh, yeah. you like the fucking a dream sequence in a movie where the guy's like, bah! I saw Jalen Turner holding a spider in my dream. I was just like, oh god.
Who is Drew Dober booked against? Because I would also love to see Drew Dober versus Fiziev. But I know he has a fight coming up.
Hopefully. I mean, I can guess at the man's skin tone. If
I could pull it up right now. Drew Dober.
He's in a banger, no?
I remember thinking like, okay, I mean that's not a bad fight, but he is fighting Matt Frivola, which is a good fight.
Yeah, I like Matt Frivola.
Yeah, and Sarah and Sarah Longo team. I mean, we've already talked about like how much we're really starting to come around on their coaching. So I think they're going to have Matt Frivola very prepared for that fight. Although I'm looking at the difference in experience. Matt Frivola only 10-3 versus Drew Dober's 26-11. I didn't realize Drew Dober was that deep already.
Dober has to, certain matchups he just sees red.
So yeah, in our main event, Leon Edwards goes and solidifies his welterweight championship. He is now unquestionably undisputed. I mean, he was undisputed before, but there was still a lot of fluke talk, and he got lucky, and he was losing the fight until he won, and now it's unquestionable. And I think that this is like the best way he could have done it, to have a knockout finish and then to go in there and arguably win 4 rounds to 1. I mean, I've heard some people say that they had him winning all 5 rounds, and I'm going to be honest, my perfectly legal and totally paid for stream died in the 5th round, so I didn't even see any of the 5th round.
Oh wow.
But I saw a lot of people say that they thought Leon won that one. So I do specifically want to ask about the 3rd round, because we had a very rare MMA point deduction.
He was cheating so bad. That was so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. And I think the low kicks is a little more excusable, just because we had talked about that too. Like, if he's going to win, he has to kick low. He has to, and he did. And he won. So I was completely wrong about the outcome, but I did make the point. I threw that in there to kind of like give myself an out, to say like, well, if he wins, it's the low kick that's going to do it for him. And he did. And he even threw those oblique kicks, those John Jones kicks. Dude, that was pretty cool.
My nephew called that, because my nephew had been banging the drum. And I mean, I've heard this before, and we certainly weren't talking about it on our breakdown, but he kept on saying like, yeah, Usman doesn't have any knees anymore. He should just throw that oblique kick and see if he can fuck up his knees. And then he comes out and throws an oblique kick, and I look over at him and I'm like, yes.
Usman was off though. He was very off. That did not look right to me.
That was going to lead to my next question, was how much does this performance by Leon Edwards kind of solidify in your mind the like the theories that were floating around that he had been really affected by the elevation in their second fight, or do you think that we're starting to see the slip of
I think
Kamaru
it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B on that one. Usman was just like pitter-pattering, striking, and he was missing wildly with some like heavy shots.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really chaining his wrestling together. He was doing the same fucking thing. And it's like, what? And then he's just so much more explosive, so much more there's just a little something behind everything that he does usually. Because he doesn't do anything stand out. Even his wrestling isn't stand out the best in the UFC, but there's that A+ athleticism that he puts on every little thing that he does. And he just did not have any of that. And he just looked very not ordered, because he fought at a championship level, because he took the champ to, I guess it was a majority decision. So, that doesn't, a lot of guys wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think Leon Edwards is going to last very long as a champ. Certainly not as long as Usman did. But something's very off with our boy Kamaru.
This fight gave me a bit more confidence that Leon could potentially defend the title a few times. I'm like you. I'm not foreseeing him to be like this long reigning champ necessarily, but I mean, it's because he has some really solid challengers on the horizon. I mean, for one, we're gonna shit all over Colby Covington in a little bit, but to be in all fairness, Colby can beat him, and Colby's a very good fighter. And I don't want that point to kind of get mixed up in all of our talk about whether or not he deserves it or any of that in a bit. But he has some significant challenges on the horizon. But let's talk about some of the accuracy of Leon Edwards, because he was landing at a 74% clip, which is super impressive. He hit 36 of 39 strikes to the body that he threw, and 50 of 53 leg kick attempts, which is insane.
That's wild. To think and we said that, dude. I told you, dude. I'll fucking say that. I knew. I said the only path to victory that he has is if he kicks and works the legs.
Yeah,
because it's gonna put Kamaru in a position to where it can even it out at least, but then I thought he's gonna do that, and Kamaru's gonna be like, I don't like this. You're going down. Like, you're just going to be down on the ground for the rest of the fight. But
and he managed to yank him down on a couple occasions. But credit to Leon for grabbing the fence and just not letting him. But in the instances where he was successfully taken down, also, he was able to get back up to his feet too.
Yeah.
And there was one ill-advised takedown attempt by Leon, which when he did it,
really
I was like, dude, what are you doing?
That was a Cyril Gahn type. That was a Cyril Gahn going for the knee bar type of moment. It could have been anyway, I guess.
Yeah, that is probably up there as far as like the audacity award of the night.
Yes,
like that gets.
Well, he took him down in the first fight or the second fight. So
yeah, that was up there with Muhammad Mokaev not tapping to that knee bar. Which I think that ultimately still gets the audacity of the award of the night. Because, I mean, he won, but we're probably not going to see that guy for like a year. Because he just let his knee get totally shredded. But we're not talking about that right now. Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. Where does Kamaru go from here? You know, he's kind of dropped.
He fights Stricus Duplessis, dude. That's fucking really African good. Fucking... That's straight up King of Africa, dude. That's fucking.
you knocked it out of the park,
dude. Dang, that has to be.
I hadn't even considered that matchup, but I mean, so you're saying that you think Kamaru's going to go up to middleweight then?
Yeah, I think he should. I mean, what is he? Why not?
Interesting. You threw me for a loop right there, because for a second I was like, why didn't I ever think about that? And I just realized, like, oh, of course I didn't think about that, because they're not in the same weight class. But
Kamaru had mentioned that going up in weight, you know. I think it just makes sense. The move makes sense for him, because I know not having the best I guess the best bone. Like I'm trying to find the right word. Like his knees are compromised. He has back issues, hand issues. And then if you have to cut any kind of weight, that's got to be so hard because you have to do cardio to do that.
Mm.
And having a bad back and bad knees is, if you can just really take the whole like the whole weight cut out of the equation for someone that's that compromised, your joints are more lubricated, you're much more hydrated and full when you're not just when you're fighting, but when you're training. You're not, you're not doing the baddie fat camp, which he never really did, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that they had Colby there, it was such a weird. I mean, they always have a backup, I guess, but that was just, they made it such a point.
Yeah.
Like,
and the top of that welterweight division now, like coming out of this fight, is all kind of booked up in such a way that Kamaru Usman is potentially going to have to wait and figure out how to get his shot, because let's say Colby Covington wins the title. I don't think that Dana is going to be too excited about trying to send Usman back in there to potentially take it away from Colby, because for whatever reason Dana really wants Colby to be a champion. Like, that much is clear. So I mean,
and Dricus was a champ, right? Wasn't he KSW welterweight champ?
Let me pull up our guy Dricus Duplessis.
And for someone trying to like say like you're not African, like that, you don't say that to actually the guy has African air in his lungs when he speaks, dude. Like, what are you saying? Like, that's such an American thing to say. That is such an American thing to say, dude. Is like, you're not African, I'm African.
Yeah, getting way too caught up in the skin color versus like, hey, guy, nationality's a thing.
That's American, dude. Because we're in such a crazy culture war here in America right now that like
really
no, but you know what I mean. Like, that's such an It's like, okay, you just proved you're not African because you're dumb. Like, please, dude, please.
Yeah. But also, like, why even bring that into
I even say that it's crazy. I forget what question brought that about, but they were probably asking like, hey, you guys don't have an African champ anymore, or like something. And then he's like, who's that? Where's that idiot Duplessis? Like, I don't like it feels like he like brought that out of nowhere. I could be wrong, but.
So it appears that DDP was the EFC middleweight champion at one point, and he was also the KSW welterweight champion. Yeah, he lost the KSW
and he has the
title.
Frame to he probably doesn't have the frame to lose weight because he's very muscular. But I think to like have African supremacy over somebody, I think he wouldn't mind cutting.
Yeah, dude, I'm all for that, dude. You didn't take much to sell me on that fight.
Yeah, just do it, dog. He's fought at welterweight. It doesn't even really have to. I'm sure he wouldn't have to be poked too hard to like, hey, dude, would you fight welterweight again? He'd probably be like, well, for who?
I mean, you drop that name, then he's all for it. And I think you're right too about the potential for Kamaru to move up, and I think that would actually be advantageous for him, maybe, especially if he's getting into the later stage of his career, because let me take a look here. How old is Kamaru Usman now? He's already on the wrong side of 30. He is 30. Well, he's 35 years old. He's right in the middle of 30. But I heard a stat recently about
they're like 2 and 25, like over 30.
Yeah,
going for the belt, right?
Yeah,
going back.
That it doesn't bode well for them, and that's why this whole situation with,
I think like 12 of those losses are 12 of those losses have to be Max Holloway, though, I feel like.
But that stat it makes it more fucked up. This like what's going on with Colby Covington and Bilal getting shafted because Bilal is like 34, I believe. So it's like his whole opportunity is slipping away really, really bad. And now he's gonna fight Shavkat. Okay, let's talk about this welterweight title picture. Dana comes out in the post-fight press conference. Well, first of all, Colby Covington weighs in as the backup for this welterweight championship fight. He's not needed. The fight goes off without a hitch, all of that. They make mention of him when they are interviewing Leon Edwards in the cage right after he wins the fight. And by the way, let Leon just enjoy his moment. But he totally ignores Colby. He no-sells it, and they kind of interview Colby later. Dana comes out and says Colby's the guy. People even asked him, like, what if George Masvidal has like this crazy performance against Gilbert Burns and gets like a crazy KO? And he says, no matter what happens, Colby's the guy. So they are all in on Colby getting this title shot. Now, 3 of the last 4 fights that Colby will have been in will be for a title shot.
He didn't win.
It's tough. It's documented on this program. Yeah. I've picked Bilal for his last 3 fights, and it's paid off. Well, I'm not putting any money on it, but if I was, I think I would have made a nice chunk of change on all of those fights, because he's like always an underdog,
and he's gonna kick the shit kicked out of him
against Shavkat. What a bad matchup. What a bad. I'm gonna roll with Bilal because I just have, and I'm just gonna have, like, I want to be able to say that I called that fight too if he manages to pull it off. But there just doesn't seem to be too many routes to victory for him there. Right. Shavkat has the frame, he has the height. I'm assuming he has the reach advantage.
His power.
I mean,
if Bilal wants to fucking wrestle, hey, he'll go ahead and do that with you if you'd like. It just like nothing makes sense. He has the reach is really gonna fuck Bilal up in that matchup.
I think Bilal's only shot is to just try and grind him down and beat him with conditioning, because Bilal has good conditioning. He can go.
He does.
But it's like, what does that look like? How do you use your conditioning against a guy like Shavkat? Because
definitely in the vision matchup, he does not have as good a vision as Shavkat does. His eyes are very fucked up. I was like, they kept showing a bunch of pictures of Bilal on like, I think might have even been on MMA On Point. And like a ton of them with him just wearing aviators in the ring. It's like, why did you have to wear him in the ring, dude? Like, but damn.
And let's go ahead and just say, well, like, why? Because I mean, I see a lot of people. I see the comments. A lot of it's from Colby trolls saying, like, it's whether you like it or not. And then when someone brings up Bilal, a lot of people just say, well, because Bilal's not a draw. And I can thinking to myself, and I think I've made this point on this show before, and I keep thinking, like, I didn't know that there were so many UFC employees out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. It's funny they pick and choose, because then it's just like those same guys are like, they just have it. They want it both ways. They really do. Like when it comes to Colby or whichever fighter they're going for, they're all of a sudden, But then it's just like, well, the refs are bad here, and why did they stop it against Colby? And why, like, he shouldn't have stopped it with Usman, or all that bullshit. And it's just like, come on.
When in truth, I mean, Bilal and Colby aren't too different in terms of their styles. I think their
Colby's
styles
a little more powerful, but
I think Colby's a little bit better everywhere. But as far as like their ability to finish fights, I mean, they're both pretty much firmly decision fighters. I think it all comes down to the fact that Bilal is ugly, and his name is Bilal Muhammad. Like,
he's such a Chicago dude, though. When you hear him talk, like if you hear him on a podcast talking, you're just like, this sounds like a dude you would kick it with, all like, or we've known, and then you see him and you're just like, whoa, dude.
Whoa, dude. No, but you're exactly right. I've people
it just
that
does
I know
not match his cadence and the way he speaks, his accent, I guess his vocabulary that he uses is just, and then you see him, you're just like, who is this goblin?
No, but you're absolutely right. Because there's people who I know in person. I'm not even talking about Instagram commenters anymore. There are people who I know in person that have written him off and been like, oh, he's just some guy that they're, you know, another one of these fucking Middle East guys, Saudi Arabia, that, you know, they're just trying to push him for their Abu Dhabi cards. And I'm like, he's from Chicago.
More American than you,
yeah,
boy.
He doesn't talk like that. I understand he's got the name, you know, when he goes to Abu Dhabi, he dresses in the full getup, but that is an American man right there.
Yeah, dude, he is. Yeah, dude, exactly.
Oh man, poor Bilal.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I like him a lot. We all like him. I mean, we've always, you know, I did take his last fight. I did take old boy from Philly to take him out, but
Sean Brady.
Yeah, Sean Brady. I was gonna say Sean Porter for some reason. I don't know why Porter, but Sean. I had the Sean right, but
sounds like a gentleman from a different sport.
Yeah. But it's a basketball player, I believe.
That's what I would have guessed.
I love Bilal Muhammad though. I do like his fights a lot, and it's just such a raw deal. But every sport, especially combat sports, has those guys, and it just sucks that he's that guy. You know?
Yeah. Hey, try not being that guy.
Yeah, just don't look like that. I forget what that's for. It's like, why do you have to look that way?
Open one eye bigger or shut the other one a little more.
Or wear something.
What else are we going to talk about from this main card? I could talk about this Casey O'Neill Jennifer Maia fight a little bit. This fight,
but you go off on that, King, because we have to do. It's obligatory, dude. We got to do Efren's WMMA corner, dude.
I didn't tell you. I don't want to go by my real name anymore.
No, what do you want to go by now?
I don't know. Something different so we can get spicy. No, I'm just fucking around.
Kenny's corner. Kenny's. We don't even call you Kenny on here, and I only knew you as Kenny for like the longest time.
You gave up both my names.
Yeah, I'll just straight doxy. I just remember Kenny from this.
I won't go off for too long about this, but there was 3 WMMA fights on this card, and this was the only one that I watched. So Casey O'Neill comes back from a 9-month layoff after she tore her MCL. And it was a weird performance. Jennifer Maia looked better than she ever had, but it's kind of hard.
She did look very good.
Yeah, her boxing seems to have leveled up. She used a lot of good lateral movement. And Casey O'Neill just kind of looked like a dork out there, just kind of whiffing and just trying to box. Casey O'Neill's whole game is getting top control. She is like the WMMA Mark Coleman, and that's not to say that she hasn't mastered that much, but she wants to get into your guard or into half guard,
forehead on your fucking brow,
and ground and pound,
body head.
Yeah, ground and pound is her bread and butter. It's not anything flashy or anything like that, but I just admire that there is a representative. She a godmother of ground and pound, still kind of like working that angle in WMMA, but she had made no real concerted effort to get the fight to the ground, and it kind of makes me wonder if either she may have came back a little too soon from her knee injury. And if that's not the case, then this fight is definitely like an indictment on her fight IQ for me, which kind of deflates my idea of her a little bit. This was her first loss. She's now 9-1, but also fucking Jennifer Maia is 21-9. So she has as many losses as Casey O'Neill has had fights going into this fight. It's going to be a fascinating one. I think that there's a lot of options for her. Macy Barber, Andrea Lee are about to fight on this upcoming card. So I think a fight with the loser or even the winner of that fight would work out well for Casey O'Neill. But anyways, just wanted to touch on that fight, but we can get into this middleweight. I want to
talk about the wild ass Israeli Yanal Shmuz. Did you see that fucking knockout he had of Patterson, dude?
I didn't watch much of the prelims. I was working
death touch. So I go, okay, highlights. Like, what was this? Highlights. I was like, this guy is insane. And bro, he's kicking Palestinians out of their houses single-handedly. I guarantee you, he's just like, you don't live here anymore. Just like punching the walls down over there. Dude, he hit this guy. It wasn't anything crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He like this dude Patterson was
I did see this fight.
Yeah, and it was so crazy because they're doing like all the human interest story was all on Patterson. Where you know how they do that?
He's the UK guy.
Yeah, they like the lead in little trailer they have before every fight, and he's just smiling and laughing on the way in. And then he got hit so hard. He's fighting the ref. He's fighting the security. He's fighting his corner. They're like, dude, no. Like, they just kept passing him off. They're like, the ref. He was like trying to like grapple with the ref, and the ref's like, get the fuck off me. Then the security guard came, and then they're like, dude, okay, come get him. And then the corner comes, and the corner like had to yell at him. His eyes are just wide, and it was the most embarrassing thing I've seen. I was like secondhand embarrassed, dude, because you're just fighting. I mean, I get it, that sucks.
Yeah. And Yanal Ashmuz, I think is what his name is.
Yeah, he's also managed by Fiziev's manager, but notice Fiziev's manager doesn't coach him. So
he was a plus 225 underdog in this fight,
dude.
So, yeah, the other guy was
check out his splash reel, dog. This man has death touch. This guy is crazy, dude. This guy's crazy. I think he has some of those rocks. Let's check his gloves, dude. He's bringing some of those Israeli rocks with him. Those boys know how to chuck those things down there. You know what I mean? So
was this his debut? Let me. Well, I could look that up. I have it right in front of me. This was his previous fight was in the PFL
highlights, dude. Mm-hmm. God damn.
Of his. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights. Only one has gone to decision. Wow, very impressive. Well, I don't know about that first
He's
fight.
not playing. He's not playing around. Mm-hmm. He's not here fucking around, dude. This guy's like, yeah.
And he is a lightweight, of course. Yet another exciting addition to this super deep lightweight division.
Keep an eye on that guy, dude.
It's the Cadillac division for a reason.
Yeah, he is. And then he's bodied up, like, but he's not like ripped, bodied up. He has that
Mike Brown kind of
yeah. And I guess we're missing out on a guy. He has that build, like that Roman Delizzi pipe god type of build. You know what I mean?
What was Roman doing in there?
Yeah.
Why wasn't he trying to get the fight down at all? Kind of similar to the Casey O'Neill situation. This was literally like the male version of that for me, where I'm watching it thinking like, okay,
he's a bimbo, dude. He fights like a bimbo, dude.
Yeah, both him and Casey O'Neill were just spamming the overhand right, and it was just never working for them. Marvin Vettori outpaces him, outstrikes him, and
God, Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, you know what? And he beats like the worst, not even the worst version performatively, because Marvin Vettori, after going to train in Las Vegas, I know he's putting in rounds with Sean Strickland and working out there in Extreme Couture. In the ring, this is the best version of Marvin Vettori that I think I've seen. But his personality, it was like, this is not the version of Marvin Vettori I want. I want the insane Marvin Vettori back.
You want the Orc King.
Yes, I want the just total delusional, irrational, confident Marvin Vettori. I want the guy who I want them to book against Iwan Kutalaba. Like that's the guy who I wanted to match that craziness. Yes. Instead, we got the cool, calm, collected Marvin Vettori. And he hands Roman Dolidze his second loss. Roman Dolidze now falls to 12-2, and is not the torchbearer for Georgian fighters. Well, he wasn't really anymore after Merab's last performance, but definitely left a lot to be desired. And I probably wouldn't say it like you did, but you fought kind of like a bimbo.
Well, I didn't say Casey O'Neill was a bimbo. You said it. I said Roman was a bimbo.
I said, yeah.
He's a real slutty guy.
And And I think, and here's the thing, I don't, it doesn't matter to me that he lost. I was curious, and I felt like we missed out on the opportunity to just see how that would have turned out if we would have seen the grappling exchanges.
Yeah, a little more of a roll.
Yeah, I wanted to see how Marvin Vettori holds up to like what Roman Dolidze brings to the table on the ground.
Yeah.
And also, I didn't before this fight, I didn't know that they were training partners or that they formally trained together.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those deals where Roman Dolidze just wrote it off. He was like, "No, we trained together for like one fight. He's not my friend." And it was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
That's always kind of
pulled the Francis Ngannou card on him.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were never friends. I don't even know. He's ugly.
All right, we got 10 minutes, and we can go a little over, but let's get into this.
We could just do the Sandhagen. I mean, there's really nothing. Holly Holm's gonna win. I'll call it right now. So let's just get to the main event, dude.
That's okay. I wasn't gonna do it.
Nate Landwehr, the train dude. He fights. It's a good matchup for him. I'm excited to watch. I'm excited to see this guy fight again since his last one with David Onama, because he was our fight of the year winner. So.
Was he?
Or mine. Yeah, he was mine.
Oh, he must have been yours. Then
it's mine. So then that means it's the whole podcast.
It's all right. You picked fight of the year for both of us. Let's say that. Sure. Don't worry. I wasn't going to give a breakdown for Holly Holm versus Giannis Santos anyways.
That's why I wanted to kind of let you go off on the I don't want to hear the Holly Holm thing. No. I'm going to have enough watching her kick the shit out of Ronda Rousey. Saturday. How many times do you think they play that in the lead up, dude?
Oh, it's going to be interchangeable. It's going to be that and her head kick knockout of Betch Correia just over and over forever. Because how do you make a highlight reel of her beating Irene Aldana with just footwork, just making
I did it for the camera. I was bobbing and weaving for the camera.
Just making Aldana just follow her in a straight line and just like touching her with jabs all night too. There's not a whole lot to break down there, but there's plenty to break down. I say plenty, but this Marlon Vera Cory Sandhagen fight, I really don't know what to expect from it.
Cory Sandhagen's going to win. I'll just say it right now. Cory Sandhagen is your winner.
I feel like,
and I think it's going to be a cruise job, bud. I love Chito Vera. You and I have like straight ball. I have ball swing. Chito Vera, just because how cool he is. He's very cool. What a cool guy. You know what I mean?
Super influential guy. I'd like to be like Chito Vera in a lot of ways.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Cool tats.
Cool.
Just kind of has that laissez-faire cavalier attitude too.
Always says the right thing. Never says the wrong thing. Has such a good attitude towards it, towards fighting, towards it. Because he had such a good attitude when they're talking about like, what does the title picture look like? O'Malley's there, Merab's there. Of course.
And he said, I don't give a
Henry
fuck.
Cejudo, he's like, I don't give a fuck.
I got Cory Sandhagen.
He's like, yeah. And then Henry Cejudo jumped the line. He's like, but if they would have gave it to me and I was in Henry Cejudo, I would have been fucking happy. I've been, fuck the line. I'll fucking take it. And it's like, dude, yes, you're so right, dude.
That's the kind of authenticity and sincerity that I like in a fighter.
Yeah, nothing canned and nothing. But that's also because a lot of people, I think Sean Strickland would like to have a little more, is trying to do what Chito's doing. He's just not doing it the right way. You know what I mean? I think that's what I think Sean Strickland's like, I'm just going to say what the fuck I want. And that's going to come out. And it's like, no, you're stupid.
Sean Strickland really does not pick his battles at all. He's just like, I don't care if you're above me, below me, I'm swinging at it. Oh, Jeff Molina. Hey, you're doing very topical.
Well, I think maybe we should not. I was wondering, dude. I had anything phallic around me, I moved out of the way of the camera so you couldn't see it, so you wouldn't get reminded. But, I am watching you look at that mic, pretty excited.
Yeah. But about your prediction for this Vera versus Sandhagen fight, you said you think Vera's gonna win the whole thing.
No, Cory Sandhagen's going to win. He's going to cruise decision it. I would say 3 rounds to 2, but it's going to look very cruisy. He might get knocked. I'll say he'll get knocked down in the 3rd and a little check hook, but he's going to fight. He has a good chin. He's He's really good emotional IQ. He's not going to headhunt.
Mm-hmm.
He mixes everything as well as anyone in the entire UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Cory Sandhagen is someone who is, I think we've mentioned him before, as where, you know, it was wrestlers coming in and doing wrestle boxing.
Mm-hmm.
You had jiu-jitsu guys coming in and doing jiu-jitsu with a little bit of Brazilian Muay Thai. You know, it was, or a Muay Thai guy just with enough wrestling to stay up.
Mm-hmm.
Cory Sandhagen is everything. He's trained everything since he was a kid. He's like an MMA fighter, like an Aspinall type of guy, where it's like everything.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone at Chito's head, and that's just not gonna work. You're gonna have to go to the leg. You're gonna have to leg kick him. You're gonna have to get him to the body. And I think in the late, Chito's been on such a good run lately, but one fight that he fought the European gentleman who was it Davy Grant?
Davy Grant,
was
yeah.
It? And that was in the most recent run that Chito's had, was the most like competitive. And Davy Grant mixes everything up very well. And I think Cory is like Davy Grant 5.0. Like he's like, you know, and plus Cory's just a mean fuck. And I think he does not have the power that Chito does, but he does have very strong kicks, and his elbows can equalize power. I don't care who you are. You get hit with an elbow like that, it's going to fucking hurt. So.
Yeah. And Cory is not a guy who's ever going to go away either. Like he's not going to, he trains out of Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. So, you know, he trains at Elevation, and I think he brings that into the cage with him all the time. And I think it's kind of an underrated aspect of his fight style and his attributes. And I think that the whole pattern of Marlon Vera like seemingly losing every round until he touches you and steals a round by like really fucking you up or rocking you, I think that tends to happen because his opponents get tired as the round comes to a close, and then he finds openings that weren't necessarily there the entire fight. And I think that those are going to be much fewer and far between with an opponent like Cory Sandhagen.
Yeah.
My only concern with Cory is that he had. Am I confusing this? I thought he had a no contest injury because he had fucked up his knee, right? Or was that in his previous fight with Peter? You know, he lost to Peter Yan, and then he has the win over Son Yudong,
who put on a good fight with Chito.
I thought that Cory had like, who am I mixing him up with? Let me see. Marlon Vera. No, I think I'm just mixing him up with someone else. Okay, never mind. I thought Cory Sandhagen was coming back from a knee injury, and my concern would have been
he beat TJ Dillashaw.
My concern, he did beat TJ. Yeah. So his only like legit recent loss should be to Peter Yan. But that I can't underrate Marlon Vera's killer instinct, and
he's
if he
animal,
if he hurts
he's just
you,
a different person.
Yeah. Or if he sees that you have, you know, or limping, or if he's affected you, because he's gonna bring those calf kicks also.
Yeah.
And if he sees that they're starting to make a difference, he's just going to throw more. You know, classically that's how he kind of like. That's how he got on the map with his win over Sean O'Malley. He was like, you know, he injured Sean O'Malley's leg, and he wasn't like the guy who fought Muhammad Makayev, where it's like, oh, you have an injured leg, I'm going to continue grappling with you. And he's like, no, stand the fuck up so I can kick you in that injured leg again. So yeah, I think that this is going to be such a good bantamweight fight, man, because Marlon Vera, as much as we're both gushing over Cory Sandhagen, and I do think that he's going to get it done, I agree with you, but Marlon Vera is just, he knows the assignment. I always
gush over Chito, though. We always, like, he's been amazing. But he's just been there. He's been, I'm not saying been there, his head, and he's there to be hit. He's not getting out of the way. And so, you know, I mean, and when I say we, my son and I were just watching the Dominic Cruz Chito Vera fight, and he was getting tagged. I mean, Dominic has, like, obviously he's not fucking, you know, Gervonta Davis or anybody like that, but he was fucking tagging. And then he just kept getting like, he just kept, the death touch that Chito has is so crazy. He would just like check left hook him, or it was just so, and he's so mean, and he does it with this like sneer of like, oh, you fucking bitch. Like, oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah. No, that Dominic Cruz like herky jerky style was actually working for him for the better part of that round. And then he herky jerked into the head kick, and we've seen what
I just feel Cory is it's not that he's a better bantamweight. I think he's better equipped to beat Chito than a lot of guys have been that Chito's fought. And when you get to because Chito's been knocking the shit out of a lot of people lately, but when you get to this portion of your career, it's like, okay, everybody's world class now. Yeah. It's not guys on their way out, or it's not, and it's not going to be O'Malley on his way in anymore. It's the guys that are in their prime, world class, a win away from the title.
Yeah, guys who were going for it. And since we're talking about this bantamweight division and the top of this bantamweight division, we know who Aljamain Sterling has in front of him. He's got a date with Henry Cejudo in May. And then, of course, Sugar Sean O'Malley is kind of in line as the de facto like next guy up, because Merab's not going to fight it. So does this fight does the winner of this fight win the unlucky sweepstakes of the guy who has to fight Merab?
The Bilal Award, yeah.
Or do you think that they kind of hold him? Because like I don't think the UFC would want to make either guy fight Merab, because both guys are fun potential title challengers. Whether
I think if Sandhagen wins a decision, they'll make him fight Merab. I think they like Chito from a like a media type, like from like a draw type, because he's fought in all pay-per-views recently, or not pay-per-views, but all main events, right? His last he hasn't had a title fight, but all of his fights have been main events, I feel like, for like a couple of years now.
Yeah, well, his fight with Dominic Cruz was a main event on a fight night. His fight with Rob Font on a fight night. Frankie Edgar, that one was on 268. Usman Covington too, so that wasn't main event. But
this is his third straight, and for a 3 straight fucking for not being a champ and having 3 straight fucking headlining fights is pretty good. That says a lot about you. The fact that this was supposed to be at Apex and they're like, nah, we got to do this in front of a crowd, it says a lot about him also. So I don't think Merab would just kill his career, or not. It has that type of feel that it would really kill all of the momentum that he's had, and he could very well win that fight. But the type of fight that he's gonna get into is really gonna like be on people's heads. Like when I think of Francis Ngannou, I think of him. I said this again and again. I think of him and the Black Beast standing there looking at each other. You know what I mean? So you don't want to put that on a guy. And I think a Merab fight could really do that to him.
Yeah, Merab definitely has the potential to just kind of like shut anyone down.
Yeah.
And if Marlon Vera is able to increase his win streak here to 5 wins, I mean, even without it, he's a really big chip to play towards getting like a really stacked Latin America card going, which we know that they're angling for. So he's a guy who they want to keep in their back pocket for that sort of a deal. I mean, I know he's Ecuadorian, he's not Mexican or anything like that, but I mean, still, he's going to be an asset to put on any Mexico card whenever they decide to go back to
Spanish
south
speaking,
of the border. Yeah, and he does the Spanish commentary for the UFC also. So I mean, we've seen like a pattern of UFC commentator, former fighter or current fighter UFC commentators getting like, she does. Yeah, it's a good point. I forgot about that. She does Spanish commentary also. Those guys tend to get the opportunities. I mean, even Anthony Smith gets probably way more opportunities than he should have, because
you just get that
putting in that
work. Latin market. That Latin market is just different. I don't know how familiar you are with like that World Baseball Classic that they just had, like fucking, it was some like 70% of Puerto Rico watched when Puerto Rico played baseball. Like 70% of the televisions in Puerto Rico were on because they were on. Mexico had a good team, so like everyone in Mexico is watching. The entire island of the Dominican Republic watches. So that like that Hispanic market is just fucking. That's just racks. That's just rack city, dude. So what? Of course they're not gonna go like, hey, Mexico City, but it's gonna be Marab at Elevation. So like, no.
Yeah, they show up for their sports teams and their fighters in a big way. You know, I had heard about the World Baseball Classic. I didn't watch any of the fights. So fucking cool that they did that though. I wish I had known about it before. I probably would have.
People hate it. People hate it. And it because like Edwin Diaz is like the best fucking closer in baseball, right? Which is like really like hard to come by, a guy with his talent, right? And the Dominican and Puerto Rican, and he's Puerto Rican, but the Dominican and Puerto Rican guys, the Venezuelan boys, like they ask these guys, like, would you rather win a World Series or the World Baseball Classic? They're like, World Baseball Classic. And it's like, what? Yeah, they're like, and then I think America doesn't get it because this is our game. Like, baseball is our game. It's like uniquely American.
Yeah.
And so we care about the World Series. So what was so crazy, and then these guys are very nationalistic. Like, it's all they have. It's how they get out of where they're at. So it, like, to bring home that home, like, my talents got me out, and here I am giving back to you guys. It's like very nationalistic. And then Japan, they had like the best team they've ever had. They're like calling this like 66 million people watched a Japanese exhibition game, dude. Like, that's crazy, dude. And they have some of the best. That's like their best team, and like they barely beat our like B squad. We had no pitchers. America, if we took our top out of our top 20 pitchers, if you took say 15 through 20, and they went and pitched, it would be like wash. It would be boring because we would wash everybody. But pitching is like you can just fuck up your arm and that's it for your career. And it's like such a high dollar. So they're like, nobody's going. So I think we only had like one top 20 pitcher, American top 20 pitcher. And all of them were under, like, they had to clear it with their coaches when they're going to pitch, how they were going to pitch, and how many innings they could go, how many pitches they could go. And if they had a rule that if you worked out, or if say you warmed up, you had to pitch. So if they were in a route, they were blowing out. I think they were blowing out. Was it Venezuela or Canada? They're blowing out. And normally, if it's a normal game, you're like, okay, we're blowing them out. Just let our top guy go and let him eat up a bunch of innings. But because these guys had to pitch enough innings, because it's their warm up time of the year, they had to get in there. They had to waste some of their best pitchers, and then so in the next round, those guys weren't available. So it was like, what the fuck is this? Where the Dominican guys, they're like, I'll pitch tomorrow, dog. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm fucking like, I don't give a fuck. Shohei Ohtani, who's like the best, he's pitched. He's a starter. He closed the game last night. So it's just like, it's just so amazing. Like the way that, and anytime. It's like, I don't give a fuck about hockey, dude. Olympic hockey, I'm fucking screaming at the screen, dude. Like, fucking hack the bone.
Yeah.
I'm just like yelling, dude. Fucking gymnastics, dude. I'm like, fucking nail that. Like, I just get like so excited when it's like our country.
Is baseball still in the Olympics also, or is it pretty much just all shifted to this WBC?
The U.S. used to beat the shit out of everybody in baseball for such a long time, baseball and softball. But I don't think baseball is anymore.
Interesting.
I don't think so. But this WBC thing, it's MLB promoted, but the owners, they just hate it. But
I could see why too, because they're like, well, the only reason other countries are going to win is because now we have to like split up our teams and everything. And like,
So the Dominican, they had the best baseball team I have ever seen in my life. Like they were like naming the names off, and they were just like the best. I was like, okay, okay, okay. It was just like goat up and down, right? And Puerto Rico beat him. And Edwin Diaz is Puerto Rican, and he closed out the game. And he came out and struck everybody out. And then they were celebrating. And he fucked up his knee celebrating. He can't pitch the rest of the year. He hasn't thrown one pitch for the Mets. The Mets have put in like something like close to $1 billion in payroll for this year. They're like all in. Like we have to win this year, dude. And they're like blowing. Like the Giants, my team went after Carlos Correa, and then he got more money from. There's a weird injury thing. They're just signing everybody. The Mets. And but a lot of it hinges on their closer Edwin Diaz, who's the best closer, and he got hurt. So like he'll account for like close to 30 wins for them because he comes in and like they're winning, he finishes that win for them. It was such a hard thing to have, especially in now that there's and he just got hurt. He had to be wheeled out in a fucking wheelchair, and he got hurt celebrating. Like the Yankees, like Freddie Freeman, who was like one of the better first basemen in the world, he hurt his hamstring. He's probably not going to play opening day. Dang. So it's just like, dang, like these kids, like this is like couple hundred, like some of these guys get like $200-300 million. So it's like, yeah, dude, and they're missing out on a whole year. So yeah, so it's kind of, that's why they hate it. I remember back in the day, in Yankee Stadium, used to be real passive aggressive about it. They like put a sign out and they're like, we're real sorry, you know, that these guys decided to do that and go play. That wasn't our decision. And they were like real shit, like trying to put the fans again. And Americans don't care. American fans hate it. I love it, but American fans hated it. I'll send you a link. Some guy broke it down really cool. I'll send you a link right now. So.
Yeah, send that over. To anybody who's still listening, you could tell. Yeah,
you could tell it's a baseball.
No, I was gonna say you can tell who the real sports fan is in this podcast. Yeah. I'm just a dirty MMA fan who's like barely getting into football. But no, that's funny. And before this conversation, I was even telling a coworker of mine today because they were all bummed out that they were bummed out the day before yesterday that Mexico lost to Japan.
Fuck Mexico. Their best player isn't even Mexican.
Really? What is he?
Yeah, he's Cuban. Because, you know, like in Cuba, they come from there. And then, dude, the Cuban story is wild. Because every time Cuba plays in an international baseball game, not at minimum, one of those guys, like, jumps in the dumpster in the hotel and, like, tries to stay in America. Because like they just don't want to go back. That's not a joke, dude. There's like a whole dude. I'll send you another one about.
That's a joke,
dude. No, that is a guy did it this year, dude. They have their Cuban base because Cuba, because of the embargo. Those guys make, dude. You're talking about like 6 foot, like. You're talking about all of them look like Yo Romero, dog. And they're fucking piping 102 mile per hour pitches. They're fucking shitting on the ball, like hitting the ball 110 miles per hour, like 700 feet, dude. These guys are fucking animals. Like there's a guy, Yoenis Cespedes. He fucking played for the Mets and the A's. Dude looked like Yoel Romero with the glove.
Jesus.
Yasiel Puig, he almost died coming over to America, like on a raft. Like people actually did die, and then they all go to Mexico, and then because you can come in through America. This guy Randy Arozarena, he went to Mexico on a boat. He got there, borrowed gloves, borrowed shoes, so he can work out in the Mexican league to work out for the teams. And they're like, dude, you're crazy. Like I literally you're Yoel Romero in cleats, dude. And then
I like how you keep circling back to the Yoel Romero, and you just
because you're gonna see
I know, but you just throw in a different baseball accessory. You're like Yoel Romero with a glove, Yoel Romero in cleats. Like,
yeah, dude. But you look at these guys' necks and you're like, oh yeah, it's a pit bull. They're pit bulls with fucking a baseball bat. See, there's another one. But so they all went through Mexico. He worked out in Mexico and then came here. And then and so he I guess he goes back to Mexico like in his off season, and he went on Instagram and talked to the president of Mexico and was like, dude, if you give me Mexican citizenship, I'll play for WBC.
Oh,
and then
dope.
the Mexican president was like, okay. And so the guy came out and he's like their best player, dude. He made this crazy ass, like, you remember The Simpsons and when they played softball and like Daryl Strawberry just like jumped all high over Homer?
Yeah.
And like that's exactly, he caught like a home run against the Japanese. The Japanese Mexican baseball game was crazy, dude.
I heard that was like one of the best.
It was the best ever, dude. And he, like, someone hit a home run and he just went, nope. And he just like jacked it out of the air. But he's Cuban. So it's just like, and then he looks so different than the other Mexican players. Like, there's good Mexican players, but not like Julio Urias. He's a pitcher for the fucking bitch made ass fucking Dodgers. If you're a Dodgers fan, fuck you. Unfollow this fucking podcast, dude. I don't give a fuck. I'll go down to 18 fucking subscribers, dude. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you.
We've been at the bottom. We'll go back.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, dude. We'll be fine without you.
Ricky, don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, for real. Sorry, Rick.
But I wanted to ask this WBC. Is there any potential that this is on the chopping block, or are they going to do it again? They're going to do it,
dude. 66 million. That dude. One of the Japanese. I think was it the Japanese Mexico game, did more numbers than the last 3 World Series combined.
Oh,
so if it's making money for the advertisers and Fox is on Fox Sports baseball, yeah, they're gonna do it. It's
gonna happen. They're just gonna have to incentivize the American teams a little bit more.
And then these Dominican players and the Venezuelan players, they're like, the owners were like, hey, because there's a guy on the Giants, he's our closer, and he's like, no. They're like, because one of the pitchers is American, and he was like, I'm gonna go pitch for the WBC, and they're like, no, you're not. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then this other guy, Camilo Duval, pitches for the Dominican. Wild. He throws like 103, 104 miles per hour. He's like, I'm going. And they're like, dude, you're gonna fuck up your arm. He's like, I don't care, I'm going. And he just went. Like, it was just so funny. Like, they're like, then don't pay me then. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah. So
it's so cool when a sport manages to go international. And I mean, I know a lot of countries play baseball, and so it's not so surprising that they can do it with baseball. But yeah, I just think it's like so badass to like a sport where we've been calling a team a world champion for so long when they're really just U.S. champions because it's just the World Series, you know. That's so sick that there's an international tournament for it. And none of the games are series, right? It's all just one game, just
right.
That's it.
Yeah. But like I said though, like if we did send like Aaron Judge, if we sent our top pitchers, if we sent if we sent our best players, we sent some really good ones. Like Mike Trout's considered one of the top 2 or 3 baseball players in the world. He was there. Mookie Betts is very good, MVP level. But like everybody else was kind of, Paul Goldschmidt's okay, you know.
Basic so
Trey
far,
Turner.
4 for 4, just such baseball names. Like,
Nolan Arenado, dude. Nolan Arenado, isn't that a badass baseball name? That guy's badass. Dude. That guy was like, if you look at him, you're like, oh yeah, you were meant to play baseball.
His parents knew they were giving him a baseball name. Nolan Arenado. Come on,
that's fucking sick, dude. Yeah, Nolan, Mike Trout, Paul Gold, Kyle Schwarber. God damn. Who else? Yeah, Mookie Betts was there. But our pitching staff was just like, we had Adam Wainwright, who was a savage back in the day, but he came out and just like he workhorsed it towards the end because he's like at the end of his career, but he was a savage back in the day. They kind of have to rely on those dudes. And
the clicking on your computer is
sorry.
Like, wrap it up, guys.
Yeah, it gets more excited. And then like, okay, he's getting into baseball. But I mean, if we would have took our legit pitchers and like some of our stars, like, you know, Aaron Judge and a lot of our other American guys, we really probably would have wiped it on everybody. But I mean, because Japan took literally like one of the best baseball teams in the last century, not in just for Japan, like in the world, and they beat us by 1 run in the championship. So
just
it's like,
it out.
yeah, and they were just like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, and then we were just like, ah, god damn it, all right, well, okay. So anyway,
well, man, so to let the listeners know, it is late. We record at around 9:30 on the evening, and it's about 11.
Sorry, dude.
I'll
You
have
brought
to
up
be going
baseball.
to bed pretty soon. I was about to say that this was a significant enough baseball segment that I'm going to have to make its own thumbnail for when we get to this part of the episode. I respect it. I'm glad that you were able to dude, that you're so knowledgeable, because you sold me on it. Like, I'm so excited to watch the WBC next year.
It comes every 3 years, I believe.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck.
Sorry.
All right. Well, hey, next.
Sorry. You'll be 40, dude, when it's on again.
You know who I really like? People who like, comment, and subscribe on our videos and engage with our content. We appreciate that you guys were here. We hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and that you are going to be tuning in to this Fight Night main event.
If you think Brendan Schaub's a piece of shit for cheating on his wife, let us know. We'll talk about that more next time if you like. I'm down.
Thanks for setting it up, because I didn't know about that. I managed, I've surprisingly see so very few anything about Brendan Schaub anymore. It's like the algorithm kind of figured out. It's like, oh, this guy's pretty checked out on Brendan Schaub, but that doesn't mean I don't like shitting on Brendan Schaub. I like to, but my algorithm is like, Brendan Schaub's a piece of shit. Here's why. That's my algorithm. I went down that rabbit hole for a while too. It was like watching mini documentaries about how shitty Brendan Schaub is.
I think I'm not full time, but I definitely jump on the fryers when I need when I need to pick me up, dude. Like I'm at Chang's, like, you know what I mean? I'm for sure there.
That's what's up. All right, this has been another very fun episode of the Fight Plug podcast. We hope that you guys will join us for the next one. Everybody, have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever time you're listening. Take care.